All right, so for the Cardinals, first-time Pro Bowlers, I think the list has them.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, yep, it does have Kyler Murray. So, I guess I'll give my reaction to it first. For me, I don't think Kyler Murray would get a Pro Bowl this year. Just thinking about the NFC quarterbacks that did make the Pro Bowl last year. Obviously, you have
Russ, Breeze, Aaron Rodgers, but Kirk Cousins made it as a replacement.
And then obviously you got to add Tom Brady coming into the NFC as well this year. And then you still have Teddy Bridgewater, who is a Pro Bowler that's going to get his opportunity now to come back as a starter.
Yeah, but dude, his Pro Bowl was
I'm just saying though.
It was like 3 or 4 players didn't.
I'm just saying, a Pro Bowl is a Pro Bowl. It's still a Pro Bowl.
I know, but dude, that's not, I don't know.
It's
if you look at his numbers, I don't know.
It's still a Pro Bowl, man.
Ever Pro Bowl worthy.
I'm just saying, it's still a Pro Bowl, man. That's it, bro. Still a Pro Bowl. So that's why I was like, man, I think the quarterback room in the NFC is still going to be a little bit too packed for him. I don't really see which of those guys he's going to beat out between Russell, Breeze, or Rodgers. And that's before we even talk about Brady, who you think is back and ready to go.
Right.
So that's my biggest issue. And you got to think, Breeze come off of missing 5 games last year. Do we anticipate him missing 5 games again this season? I personally don't.
Yeah. The question is with Breeze, will he take a step back due to age? I don't really think that.
Nah. For me, I don't think that because I'm not thinking that with Brady. And that's my whole thing.
I don't think that. I think Brady's going to be an improvement with his stats.
Yeah.
The thing I will say about Murray is, Rodgers made it last year, and his stats weren't that gaudy or anything.
Yeah, he said 4,000 passing, but he was very efficient though. 26 touchdowns, 4 picks.
So I think all it would take is, let's just say Tom Brady makes it over Rodgers. We still have Wilson and Breeze. Although with Breeze, I don't know, dude. I don't know. That's a question just with the age and maybe. Yeah. His attempts have been going down. Like, I just don't know. I'm sure the touchdown to interception ratio is going to be there.
Because check this out. So, in 11 games, Breeze last year was 27 touchdowns, 4 picks.
I know.
And that's what Rodgers did in 16 games.
That's what I mean. Yeah. His efficiency's crazy.
But he still almost had more passing yards than Cousins. Cousins had 3,600. He was at 2,900. So,
that's what I mean.
Not far off either.
Will Breeze throw for over 4,000?
I think he will.
Will he? I'm sure the touchdown to interception ratio will be pretty similar. I could see Murray having a really just crazy fantasy type of season though.
Yeah.
Which could win the hearts of people. Just based off
with that.
Rushing yards and, his passing yards will go up a little bit. And, he was Offensive Rookie of the Year last year.
That was a robbery, though. Stop that was a robbery,
listen,
man.
Dude, as much as you want to say Teddy making the Pro Bowl, I'll say Kyler got the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He did, but it was a robbery.
We both think it should have been Jacobs, yes.
Yes. This is my only concern, though, man. When I think of guys like Breeze, when I think of guys like Rodgers, they have those names.
Yeah.
And we talked about how we've seen even last year with Von Miller and Khalil Mack making the Pro Bowl, one had 7.5 sacks, one had 8 sacks, whereas guys with 13 sacks, 10 plus sacks, they didn't make the list at all. For me, that's my only concern. Like, for Kyle would have to really just go absolutely insane next year.
I think he could, dude. I think he could, which is why I think he might just get it based off what type of year he could be having. Okay. DeAndre Hopkins being there, second year in the system. I think that'd definitely
help him out.
That's what I mean. Could he get 600 rushing yards, over 4,000 yards passing, then, be almost at 30 passing touchdowns? I think that's possible. Is that Pro Bowl worthy? I definitely think it is. Now, the question is, does it stack up against some of the other names?
Yeah.
I think maybe just because he could be like a fantasy superstar and a lot of people are going to be hyping him up and stuff throughout the year if he keeps doing this, that it's possible. And what it could take, too, is if you have the 3 staples that make it, one of them just wants to bow out due to injury like we see with Rodgers here and Kirk Cousins making it. So I'd say you got the 4 in terms of competition being Russ, Breeze, and Rodgers. And then, and also I meant Brady before Rodgers. But then, dude, like I said, one of them bows out to injury, or Kyler Murray. I could see him just beating one of them out. Not saying that I think he would be the better quarterback or someone I would trust in the playoffs, but in terms of just raw stats, that's my thing with him. Who's the guy you're thinking then? Are you thinking Simmons?
I'm going Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, I think, man, when you look at the Cardinals defense, they have all pros at every level except inside linebacker. They got Chandler Jones on the edge, Patrick Peterson at corner, Budda Baker at safety. Isaiah Simmons is going to have the freedom to freelance because he's going to be covered at multiple areas on that field. And when you talk about just how athletic Isaiah Simmons is, I mean, it was times at Clemson where he legit was playing middle field safety for like quarters, not one or two plays, not one or two packages. Like, he literally has that type of versatility. So you talk about a guy you're going to be able to use in coverage, whether it's zone or man. You talk about a guy who's going to be able to stand up against the run. You talk about a guy who can go sideline to sideline. You talk about a guy who they can blitz as well because he still can get after the quarterback. That type of position flexibility and him just being an overall elite athlete, I think is going to bode extremely well for him. And when you're talking about the NFC from a linebacker standpoint, Kuechly is gone. So it's a lot more open in terms of him having those opportunities. Jalen Smith is a guy obviously with the Cowboys who made the Pro Bowl, but I personally don't know if he can sustain that type of play because now, granted, before he got hurt, obviously at Notre Dame, he had that type of trajectory, that type of productivity, but obviously coming back from the injury has definitely been a great story to follow, but we haven't seen him just be a Bobby Wagner type or even a Luke Kuechly type. So for me, I'm looking at Isaiah Simmons saying, man, hey, it's a legit opportunity for you.
He definitely has got mad potential. That was the second guy I was thinking. Yeah. But, just for the sake of the article and seeing Kyler Murray, I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see it. I'll give Kyler Murray the nod. I could see. I told you last podcast, I said I think he's going to have a better year than Dak Prescott. So, if that happens, he's definitely going to be in the mix for a Pro Bowl.
I just think it's going to be hard for him to do that because his offense doesn't have the type of weapons that Dallas has, nor does his offense run that pro-style scheme. Like we talked about how even with Lamar.
Doesn't that benefit him, though, in terms of stats and that spread offense? Especially the rushing.
Well, this is the thing. Unless it's something ridiculous rushing from a quarterback standpoint, how much are you really valuing it? Because we talk about a guy like Josh Allen. Josh Allen killed on the ground his first 2 years, but we don't talk about him in that vein.
I think Kyler's got the better arm talent, though.
Understandable, but all I'm saying is we don't really look at Kyler. We don't look at quarterbacks and just solely, oh, he has 600 rushing yards. I think that's a big deal. It has to be like how Lamar went crazy for them to really justify it. Even though, statistically, from a passing standpoint.
Deshaun's made some Pro Bowls, though.
But not off of running, though. No, people talk about Deshaun as a passer.
No, I agree, but I think Kyler Murray's that type of passer. I think he can get over 4,000 yards. I'm with you on that, but he would have to get over 4,000. I think that's going to be the big key for him. I think he'll get close to it. I don't think he'll get over it, though. That's my only concern with him. Okay. Yeah. So that's your breaking point right there.
Yeah. I don't think he'll get over 4,000. If you don't get over 4,000 with the names that we just named, like I said, even Kirk Cousins was flirting. He was at 3,600. So you have to be in that $4,000 range, I feel like, to beat out the blue bloods in terms of your Rodgers, your Breeze. Obviously, Russell Wilson's going to be there, barring injury. And then when you bring in Tom Brady, who's going to be in a prolific offense with the weapons that he has now, I just don't see him having a crazy year where he's going to take over like that. Unless he transforms to like a Lamar Jackson, what he did this year, I don't really see that happening. But I will say this, though, with Kyler Murray, he doesn't get enough respect as a passer. You look at his numbers, man, efficient, QBR, completion percentage, yards, like he checks the box as a thrower. He can make all the throws, but I think everybody's just so enamored with the fact that, oh man, he can run. He's more running than QB. Like he can throw, man. He's a legit passer.
He definitely can, for sure.